just trying to change the world here, people.
Oh, really?
The Facebooking and the tweeting and the Instagramming, all that would not exist without our understanding of science.
It's amazing how you do that as an insult.
You mean true for you is different from true for anybody else?
Yeah, absolutely, because I can't
prove either got to be true or not.
I can't, no.
Good evening, citizens of Netlandia. Welcome to ORLY-Radio number 122A, recorded Friday, August 12th, 2016, where we dismantle the current events for your edutainment through mostly rational conversations that make you go, oh, really? I'm your host, Andy Cowen, and I have a full cast of my usual suspects. I've got David O'Connor, Fred Sims, Daniel Atherton, and Stephen Griffith. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey.
Salutations.
I am glad to be here.
Excellent.
So happy to be back.
Excellent. I love having everyone back. We did have a little bit of audience feedback from one of our previous shows. Well, it's not bad. It's just, it's good when we actually get called out on things. And
fair.
So, according to our the atheist Amazon, Stacy Rubrul, on our Facebook page, she said, I was just listening to episode 117A again. Apparently she's listened more than once, which I don't know what that says about us or you, but I'm glad that you were doing so. So, something I learned brought me back to when you were talking about the black man who was found hanging in the park down south. Are you guys still there?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I just had, I'm having power flickers and flashes here.
All screens are down.
What, Florida Flash and Flicker isn't super reliable?
That was weird.
Still testing the system out.
Not sure exactly what's going on here. And at least one of my connections is saying that it went horribly wrong. Okay. Everyone's still moving in the windows? Okay, everybody's still moving in the windows. Okay.
Well, except for Fred, who's not moving and is on his side, but...
Well,
no. That's the way it started.
That's besides the point. You guys aren't seeing what's actually going out to our lucky Twitch viewers.
I shouldn't be on my side anymore. I fixed that.
It's weird. So, okay.
It'll be fixed tomorrow.
This is why I have UPSs on everything. So we're still intact here. So yes, Florida, you'll have to try harder than that, but maybe not today. Let's try another time. Anyway, okay, so back to the email. So, that we were talking about the man that was found in Piedmont Park, hanging by his neck, obviously. And we were saying that it was said that most people don't commit suicide in public. Now, she says, now, I'm not an expert, but I've recently learned that 1/3 of suicides are committed in public places. Sometimes suicidal people go to a place where they have happy memories. It may be a way of the person trying to talk themselves out of the act. The other reasons they do it is to let the world know that it let them down and a way to make people remember them. We have dealt with hangings, self-inflicted gunshot wounds, suicide by train, and suicide by cop. I've learned this a couple of months ago when a fellow officer decided to jump off the cliffs of the Palisades Interstate Parkway. His suicide was very public, and he knew it would be. He knew that the kind of response he would get from jumping at a particular site, and everyone in the department had to go through critical incident stress debriefing and talk to counselors. I'm not saying that the man mentioned on the show wasn't murdered, just pointing out the fact that it happens more often than is thought. Love the show, guys. Thank you very much. We love the feedback. That is definitely helpful to us. And, of course, we are no experts. Ever. Well, maybe subject matter experts. But as a friend of mine who is another subject matter expert has said, the subject matter expert is simply the person in the room that knows more about something than everyone else. So there you go.
Yeah. I just went to save.org trying to find that stat where 1 in 3 are in public. They don't really delve into that.
Computer, because I've got nothing right now.
Just I have to be the stickler to put
PC's dead?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where the tower is to try and turn it back on. But.
It's the one over there.
1 in 3 is still a minority.
Women are So suicide among males is 4 times higher than among females.
Hit the little button.
Females are most commonly used method of suicide. Among males, 51%. Females are more likely than males to have had suicidal thoughts, and they experience depression at roughly twice the rate of men. They attempt suicide 3 times as often as males. Men succeed more often than females.
That has a lot to do with methodology.
Yeah. Women are far more likely to use pills. Men are more likely to use guns.
Yeah.
Or tall structures.
Yeah.
One gives you a recovery chance. The other one, not so much.
One pill makes you small. One makes you bigger. No,
one is
sorry.
also considered far less painful than the other.
Yeah. Dan, your volume is low. It is lower than the other people that are on the same channel as you. So I can only bring everyone up, which would make you still lower than everyone else.
Okay, how about now?
Oh, that's much better.
Yes.
Yes. Remember to speak to the blue hairs in the back of the room. Got to get all of them. Okay.
Okay, theater voice it is.
Theater voice. Yes. Now, tell you what I'm going to do. Fred, come over here. Sit in the big chair and go through history while I fix whatever happened to the PC that you were working on.
And
Change
while we play
places.
musical chairs, the big chair, as this entire thing broke on us. Well, just me. I went completely black. But I'm back. And that means history. You know, history from my head anyway. I know there was some history while I was gone. It was a little bit different. Running down the quick hits. And I think whenever you excavate a fossil coming back to the show, it stands to reason that you should discuss other fossils. So, August 12th, 1990. On this day in 1990, fossil hunter Susan Hendrickson discovers 3 huge bones jutting out of a cliff near Faith, South Dakota. They turn out to be part of the largest Tyrannosaurus rex skeleton ever discovered, a 65-million-year-old specimen dubbed Sue after its discoverer. Amazingly, Sue's skeleton was over 90% complete, and the bones were extremely well preserved. Hendrickson's employer, the Black Hills Institute of Geological Research, paid a mere $5,000 to the landowner, Maurice Williams, for the right to excavate the dinosaur skeleton, which was cleaned and transported to the company headquarters in Hill City. The Institute's president, Peter Larson, announced plans to build a non-profit museum to display Sue along with other fossils of the Cretaceous period. However, in 1992, a long legal battle began over Sue. The U.S. Attorney's Office claimed Sue's bones had been seized from federal land and were therefore government property. It was eventually found that Williams, a part Native American and member of the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, had traded his land to the tribe 2 decades earlier to avoid paying property taxes, and thus his sale of excavation rights to Black Hills had been invalid. Yeah. In October 1997, Chicago's Field Museum purchased Sue at public auction at Sotheby's in New York City for $8.36 million, financed in part by the McDonald's and Disney corporations. This dinosaur brought to you by Chicken Nuggets. Sue's skeleton went on display at the Field Museum in May 2000. The tremendous T-Rex skeleton, 13 feet high at the hips and 42 feet long from head to toe, I'm guessing head to toe they mean tip of the tail, is displayed in one of the museum's main halls. Another exhibit gives viewers a close-up view of Sue's 5-foot-long, 2,000-pound skull, with 58 teeth, some as long as the human forearm. Sue's extremely well-preserved bones have allowed scientists to determine many things about the life of the T-Rex. They've determined that the carnivorous dinosaur had an incredible sense of smell, as the olfactory bulbs were each bigger than the cerebrum, the thinking part of the brain. In addition, Sue was the first T-Rex skeleton to be discovered with a wishbone, which was a crucial discovery that provided support for scientists' theory that birds are a type of living dinosaur. One thing that remains unknown is Sue's actual gender. To determine this, scientists would have to compare many more T-Rex skeletons than the 22 they have found so far. Other quick hits in history, separated by 50 years, 2 Hollywood icons were lost on August 12th. 1964 saw Ian Fleming, the creator of James Bond, pass away, and in 2014, Lauren Bacall passed away. Another death on this day, back in the year 30 BC, Cleopatra took her own life following the defeat of her forces against Octavian, who ended up being the future first emperor of Rome. And in 1953, less than 1 year after the United States tested its first hydrogen bomb, the Soviets detonate a 400-kiloton device in Kazakhstan. The explosive power was 30 times that of the U.S. atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima, and the mushroom cloud produced by it stretched 5 miles into the sky. Known as the layer cake, the bomb was fueled by layers of uranium and lithium deuteride. I might have said that correctly. A hydrogen isotope.
Good enough.
The Soviet bomb was smaller and more portable than the American hydrogen bomb, so its development once again upped the ante in the dangerous nuclear arms race between the Cold War superpowers.
Smaller and orders of magnitude more deadly.
Yes.
Always nice. Okay, so we're going to play musical chairs again.
One more time. Talks amongst yourselves.
Talks amongst yourselves. So.
Okie dokie. All right, so I guess I need to label the power buttons or something.
Well, it's a new tower.
Well, it's new to you.
New to me, yes.
Yeah, those are old towers.
It's an archaic tower, but it's new to me because it's not the one I'm used to having to turn back on.
Yes, ancient things with new guts inside. So much better that way. Okay, so I see that a couple of video feeds have paused. Did you guys wander away?
I'm still here.
I'm here.
I'm here.
Okay, your video feeds are gone.
Okay.
Oh, wait a second. Make this a group video call. It's free? What, we're not already in a group video call?
Yeah, I thought we were earlier. Maybe that blip.
Yeah. After the musical chairs, things got funky.
Yeah.
That's
my
odd.
my camera was shut off for some reason. That's weird.
Apparently Skype doesn't like musical chairs.
Okay, well, enough inside baseball there. Okay, so we've got a logical fallacy. We're back to the logical fallacies. Do I have... Oh, yes, I do. There we go. Okay. This week's logical fallacy is the red herring. A red herring is as much a debate tactic as it is a logical fallacy. It is a fallacy of distraction and is committed with a listener when a listener attempts to divert an arguer from his argument by introducing another topic. This can be one of the most frustrating and effective fallacies to observe. The fallacy gets its name from fox hunting, specifically from the practice of using smoked herrings, which are red, to distract hounds from the scent of their quarry. Just as a hound may be prevented from catching a fox by distracting it with a red herring, so an arguer may be prevented from proving his point by distracting him with a tangential issue. So, as an example, many of the fallacies of relevance can take red herring form. So, an appeal to pity, for example, can be used to distract from the issue at hand. So, quote, you may think that he cheated on the test, but look at the poor thing. How would you feel if you made him sit it again? I mean, really? I mean, look at him. So, obviously a red herring. Let's distract from the main thing that he's doing by talking about how pathetic he is in this other example. So, you might see an awful lot of this in some presidential debate tactics. Or speeches, or just all of it. Yeah. So, there's plenty of that to go around. And with, let's see, moving right along.
Hi, ORLY-Radio listeners. This is your host, Andy Cowen, calling my voicemail to make sure that it still works. Please consider calling us, 470-222-6759. Bye.
If you wish to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe.
If you're scientifically literate, the world looks very different to you. It's not just a lot of mysterious things happening. There's a lot we understand out there. And that understanding empowers you.
If you base medicine on science, you cure people. If you base the design of planes on science, they fly. If you based the design of rockets on science, they reach the moon. It works. Bitches.
All right, our first Science Bitches segment for the week is scientists have spotted a rare Arabian sand cat for the first time since 2005. Daniel, I believe you brought this in?
Yes, because the internet loves cats.
The internet does love cats.
But no, this is actually something somewhat exciting. There are a number of breeds of what they refer to, especially in this article, as sand cats. That's where our feline friends come from. They come mostly from sandy desert climates. They've set out in the area near Abu Dhabi,
which is just fun to say, always.
Yes, it is. They set out cameras to track motion, and they managed to, mostly at night, identify 2 females and a male. Most of this was during a full moon, and they also found a number of things that you would think these cats would feed on, mostly reptiles.
Mm-hmm.
But with this proof, there is now more of a push for funding to do further studies and get more money to have a better understanding of these rare animals. So anything that helps push conservation forward is a good thing. Because, again, there's a lot to be learned from all the different creatures on our planet. And also, these are important things to their local ecosystems. And, well, it's cats.
Yeah, the internet does love their cats. John Newby of the Sahara Conservation Fund told the publication, scientists need to be doing more research on how the sand cats live in order to create a suitable protected area. This is the first time in 10 years that this little guy has been seen, or girl, whichever gender this particular feline might have been. So that's really good. I mean, we've heard about many animals that have been on the thought of as being completely eradicated. And then, there they are. We just haven't seen them. They're doing quite well hiding from us, in addition to whatever they're doing to survive. So, fantastic. It's good news.
That kind of begs the question, in that instance, I'm not going to say that we don't need to do the studies and the research and the conservation, but if they're doing just fine without us, because that's what nature does, do we really need to, other than to just have pretty pictures of a cat for the internet?
The reasoning, at least in my mind, is you do the studies so you understand, okay, what is the range of this animal's habitat? That way you can put in place safeguards so that development doesn't happen in that range, in that zone, to conserve that species.
Well, real quick, I will answer your question, though. It's a cat, so the range of its habitat is wherever the hell it wants.
Well, that's just because it's a cat, though. That doesn't tell us much about what this particular cat species does. So,
the fact that it's so elusive is interesting. It must have some sort of, where does it spend its time when it's not out? Because I've only captured 46 images in 278 days.
And most of them were at night, the midnight to 6 a.m., it said. So, I mean, during the day when it's ridiculously hot in Abu Dhabi, I mean, is it a burrower? Does it, those type of things?
Yeah, it would probably have to be.
Again, these are wonderful questions to have. Also, these are wonderful, again, use the cute fuzzy animal to get children and people with money enthused about science.
True.
And conservation.
That is pretty much what it takes. So, let's move right along. There's an interesting article out here on independent.co.uk. Paralyzed patient walks again in astonishing medical breakthrough. Patient 7 was capable of walking with 2 crutches and lower limb orthoses. Or I believe here in the States we'd call them orthotics, while requiring no assistance by a therapist. So essentially, they're using a brain-controlled exoskeleton suit to skip past some of the issues with their vertebrae and forcing their body to walk with the exoskeleton suit. I'm kind of letting a video play here in the background, but it's slow going and kind of annoying. So, in the astonishing breakthrough, patients left paralyzed. That's it. By severe. Why
Do you want one of us to read this?
Why can I not talk?
Grab some of that aqua.
Okay, I will have a drink.
In an astonishing breakthrough, patients left paralyzed by severe spinal cord injuries have recovered the ability to move their legs after training with an exoskeleton linked to their brain, with one even able to walk using 2 crutches. Scientists developed the Walk Again project based in Sao Paulo, Brazil, thinking that they could enable paraplegics to move about using the exoskeleton controlled by their thoughts. But they were just surprised to discover that during the training, the 8 patients all started to regain the sense of touch and movement below the injury to their spine.
That's amazing. It was previously thought that the nerves in 7 of the patient's spines had been completely severed, but the researchers now believe that a few nerves survived, and those were reactivated by the training, which may have rewired circuits in the brain.
That's amazing.
That's super cool.
And I mean, scientifically makes a lot of sense, because where that sever comes in, everything from that point down is the brain is going to believe that it's no longer able to communicate with, because once you've severed that link, you know, the synapses firing, you know, those type of things, it's not going to make the full trip. So now that you've convinced the brain, wait a minute, that's just a bump, I can get around it, and for those things to start firing again and the brain to recognize them, it makes a level of sense.
Yeah. It's a more aggressive, more scientific form of physical therapy. Yeah. One which we can actually convince our gray matter that, hey, we can do this again.
One of the things that I saw in the video that was briefly playing, what looked to be a very cool, I'm guessing very early portion of them using the exosuit, was that he had the VR mask on. And my thought on that is they probably go VR in the beginning, because these people have been for however long in their reality of, I can't do this, that if you just threw them in that suit and told them to go ahead, think yourself forward, they're still going to have that, I can't. But in the world of VR, you know, they're just moving because they know that that's not real. But
they have
in
the
reality,
suspension of disbelief.
Exactly. So at that point, their body's moving, but they're not realizing it's not just in the VR machine.
And this is why video games are important, folks.
It allows you to think differently.
Yeah. There's an interesting, I believe it was a TED Talk put on by one of the guys who's like one of the pioneers in making prosthetic limbs and whatnot. He lost both of his lower legs and super famous for being a mountain climber with no legs. But he was talking about where cybernetics is going is pretty soon here. Your brain is capable of just picking up the fact that you have another limb that's attached to it and then figuring out how to work it. So if you can find a way to bypass the broken connections or potentially add additional sensory inputs, that's where they're heading with it. That's where they're going.
Yeah.
They're going to add, you know, they're talking about adding new senses to humanity and new limbs potentially.
I'll take a tail.
I go with an extra set of arms.
I'll go with the wings, thank you.
You know what?
The wings could double as arms.
I think 4 legs. 4 legs would be good. Driving might be interesting, but it's okay. I'll have a Tesla by then anyway. So,
yeah, you just fly.
I'll just crawl in the back or something. It'll be fine. Okay. So that's some amazing stuff going on in the world of paralysis and getting limbs and nerves and even VR. So there's a whole lot going on with that story. All right, so
yeah, the VR is going to go into AR. That's going to be cool.
Nice.
Now, speaking of things that are cool but not cool anymore.
Really? Is that how you're going to lead into this?
That's how I'm leading into that. Yeah, well, Set them up, knock them down. That's what we got to do here. Okay.
Ba-dum.
So, dangers lurking in permafrost, which is apparently not so permanent anymore now that, this whole climate change thing, the whole world warming up a little bit. Yeah.
The thing that's not happening, but there's evidence of it happening everywhere in the world.
Yeah, but that evidence isn't, like, scientifically based or viable.
Yeah, just because the zombie virus...
No. More importantly, remember, all the scientists have been paid off.
Right. It's a giant conspiracy.
Yes, so 98% of scientists that believe scientific things.
I want to know where all this money is coming from.
If Alex Jones were here, he would call this whole story a false flag. How do we know that these camels actually died?
Alex Jones is a false flag.
Yeah, I too saw that meme. Everything's a false flag. Am I a false flag?
I don't know. I could be.
So I did not pull this story. So go ahead. Do the honors, sir.
Well, again, if it's gloom and doom, I find it.
You're not the only one.
You're of my kin.
No. Permafrost in Siberia is now melting. The thing that could not melt is melting. The thing that should not melt is melting. And with that, ancient bacteria rises from the depths and is ready to kill us all.
Yay!
No.
Well, wait, no, that's bad. That's bad, right.
So, again, this ancient strain of anthrax.
Mm-hmm.
These spores that have been encased in ice for more than a century is now being unleashed upon the people of Siberia. And we have had deaths.
So it's anthrax. Sleeping, dormant anthrax.
Yes.
Living in the permafrost.
Like weapons
Again,
grade
they've been
anthrax.
lying dormant within the long dead, nearly mummified bodies of ancient reindeer, and just waiting for the time to rise again, like the curse of the mummy, and kill humanity.
And this is why nobody let Rudolph play any reindeer games.
Yeah.
Well, this is what he did to the ones that wouldn't let him play.
Oh.
So the anthrax, the anthrax spores lay in wait in the permafrost for more than a century. An agricultural watchdog was quoted in the news wires as saying, and indeed, anthrax bacteria do form spores in asexual reproduction. These spores are highly resilient, can survive temperature extremes over decades and even centuries, obviously, and they come back to life when conditions become amenable to them, like in thawing permafrost. A study found 1 to 1,000 million bacteria per gram of soil from the Spitsbergen in Norway.
Again, this is all over our northern hemisphere. These regions of permafrost, where we're getting these reports of bacteria that are just coming back and hitting whatever's nearby. Animals, humans, you name it.
And let's not forget the amount of carbon dioxide and methane that's coming up from all of that.
Stuff that was locked away that's now accelerating greenhouse effect.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're hitting things that we weren't even expecting. I mean, the worst case scenarios were too conservative.
This little statement right here that I just highlighted. As viruses are not alive, they cannot die either.
Yeah, the virus pictured there is
1,000
times bigger than all other viruses known to scientists today.
Right, that was the one that was discovered in 2014.
It has a diameter of 1 micron. Is huge.
Gigantic, still unknown virus.
Completely harmless to humans. Yeah. They don't know what it infected.
Great. But, again, with these conditions, some of the stuff just comes back alive.
Now, it was that giant virus, because that's one of the most interesting things that has happened, like, in this decade. It was asleep for 30,000 years in the ice. 30,000 years. There are people that think that our entire planet, our entire universe is only 6,000 years.
6 to 10,000 years.
6 to 10,000.
There's
a
debate
virus
even
that's
among
3
those.
times older than their universe.
Yeah.
But again, this is why education's important, folks.
Yeah.
We are going to see more hellacious stuff coming down the pipe as climate change continues to get worse. We're losing nations. We're now having surprise anthrax. And as we get lower, greenhouse gas feedback loop, i.e., you're locked away methane.
Mm-hmm. And we've said before, methane is a more effective greenhouse gas, meaning that it stays around longer and has a greater effect on the atmosphere than our standard CO2 model.
So what happens, and they explain it here, is when permafrost thaws, that organic material is exposed to warmer temperatures. This makes it decay, releasing large amounts of methane and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So permafrost is made of dead plants and animals. Estimates are that worldwide permafrost contains half of all organic material in soils.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
Not for much longer.
All that decaying is just going to
creates more heat.
accelerate greenhouse.
Right. Which then makes more of a decay. And so on, and so on.
Yeah. And my theory is that as this stuff decays, it accelerates the greenhouse gases, traps more heat, the Earth heats up, the molten stuff below finds a warmer, more pliable crust to go through, and then you have super volcanoes going off.
Oh, jeez. Yellowstone.
That's later down the line. Yeah, Yellowstone.
It's later down the line. It could take a while, but
no. Again, sound theory. There's a lot of terrible things that are going to happen. We were already seeing the changes in weather patterns, the flooding that's happening across the UK now seasonally that's never happened before.
Oh, Mama Van, I guess you can't. You wouldn't let us be the only ones that were doom and gloom, would you? We may find out the hard way why the dinosaurs went extinct.
Humanity will survive. As weird as it is to say that, as a species on this planet, we'll survive because we're effing tenacious, and we're at an interesting point where we have the technology that enough of us could basically vault up, a la Fallout. Yeah.
Well, beyond that, either Fallout or we're gonna have the Judge Dredd megacity issue, and neither which way I want to go.
Yeah, no, they're not. It's not going to be pretty, and it's going to be martial law, and punishment is going to be severe because it's going to be a measure of population control, not simply we need to get rid of the riffraff. They will have to kill a certain percentage of the population on a yearly basis to allow the breeding cycles to continue and keep everybody in line, and also to keep everybody alive.
I just wanted to talk about ancient anthrax. Now we're having apocalyptic conversation.
Now we're talking straight up like genocidal mania and population
we
control.
Went from ancient anthrax to Mad Max here.
Welcome to my brain.
It's true. Yeah, well, not just that, but you also went straight to eugenics too.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know that you're. I don't think you're fertile enough. We're just going to have to test you. Oh nope, I'm sorry. You're going to be turned into Soylent. Bye bye.
I ordered some of that, by the way.
Here's the stick.
Now remember, it's Soylent. We're drinking Soylent White. Soylent White was not made of people in the movie.
Yeah.
Nope, seaweed.
Seaweed and plankton from the sea.
That's right.
Yeah, the stuff you just ordered, but the stuff you just dreamt up is already to green.
Yes, that is true.
So now on to more science.
Oh yeah. I guess we should probably move on.
Doom and gloom. We can go further down this rabbit hole.
Well, no. We've got something good.
You can't go down the rabbit holes. They're filling with liquid hot magma.
Liquid hot magma. Somebody needs a hug. Okay. So, the scientists out at Cornell, which is one of those fantastic Ivy League schools up there, have managed to convert carbon dioxide and turn it into electricity.
Realizing that the permafrost is creating excessive amounts of carbon dioxide, Cornell said, "Holy shit, hurry up."
We need to tap that yesterday.
That's what she said.
Pretty much something along those lines. Somebody.
I may be paraphrasing a article that doesn't exist, but in a back-to-back article bonanza here, this one works wonders.
We're just gonna begin writing for the Onion at this point. Dystopian futures and how to make fun and profit from them.
Woo!
So out at Ithaca, New York, where Cornell resides. While the human race will always leave its carbon footprint on the Earth, it must continue to find ways to lessen the impact of its fossil fuel consumption. Yes, please, carry on. Carbon capture technologies, chemically trapping carbon dioxide before it's released into the atmosphere is one approach. In a recent study, Cornell University researchers disclosed a novel method for capturing the greenhouse gas and converting it into useful energy production. So, apparently there's a graphic here explaining the research. Okay, let's see here. What is this graphic? I'll pull it up here so that you don't have to. Oh, well, I guess that is a thing. Okay, so electrochemical cells. In this electrochemical cell, carbon dioxide emissions are captured and converted to a higher value C2 product, while at the same time generating electrical energy. Okay.
Neat.
So it turns carbon dioxide into
carbon.
C2.
An oxygen-assisted aluminum carbon dioxide power cell that uses electrochemical reactions to both sequester the carbon dioxide and produce electricity.
That's pretty sweet.
That's the sequester I'd get behind.
Well, yeah.
Well, it says it's sequester, so is there some point where they have to release that carbon dioxide?
The electrochemical reactions between the anode and the cathode would sequester the carbon dioxide into carbon-rich compounds while also producing electricity and a valuable oxalate as a byproduct.
So, I'm interested to know what carbon-rich compounds are making. Are they making like carbon fiber out of this?
Let's see. In most carbon capture models, the carbon is... the carbon is captured in fluids or solids, which are then heated or depressurized to release the carbon dioxide.
Think the carbon that would go in like water filters. Water filtration.
As to be hard carbon.
Yeah.
So captured carbon dioxide must be transported to sites where it can be sequestered. Okay, so they're capturing it in a fluid or something. Something has to be done with it. There's a byproduct, but it is at least captured. It is contained.
But I mean, and if they are sequestering it in that way where it can be used in water filtration, I mean, that's just that much better because now you've got three positive, basic things coming out of this.
Yep, Vault-Tec will be pleased with this development.
At no point in this show are we leaving the end of the world scenario.
In looking at this, there's carbon oxalate, which is a valuable product, and then it also makes carbon. Just straight up carbon.
Yep.
Which, again, if you're trying to make steel, you need carbon.
Yeah.
So it can be a wonderful steel additive.
Quoting a process able to convert carbon dioxide into a more reactive molecule, such as an oxalate that contains two carbons, opens up a cascade of reaction processes that can be used to synthesize a variety of products. Ooh.
And their energy output isn't terrible. The group reported that their electrochemical cell generated 13 ampere hours per gram of porous carbon at a discharge potential of around 1.4 volts. The energy produced by the cell is comparable to that produced by the highest energy density battery systems.
Nice.
So I mean, it's not insignificant. I mean, we've done some stories about things generating electricity that right now it's an insignificant level of electricity generated. Yeah. But I mean, this is not insignificant. You can use it for a good number of processes.
Well, just think about, okay.
I'm wondering where the downside is in this system.
Again, you're going to have
still
to...
in the research
startup
phase?
cost.
For one. Two, you're going to have to be able to ship and use the byproducts, which is the oxalate and the carbon.
Or I can keep reading. A current drawback of this technology is that the electrolyte, the liquid connecting the anode to the cathode, is extremely sensitive to water. Ongoing work is addressing the performance of electrochemical systems and the use of electrolytes that are less water sensitive. So it's not as foolproof as the front of the article would make it seem.
So, in this case, you need to be using it in arid climes.
Yes.
Which would be plentiful.
While you're hunting the sand cat.
But not necessarily.
Hey, it can power the cameras for capturing our sand cat.
And see, what I did there was a
Power
red
your
herring to get away from the fact that David was taking us back to Vault-Tec.
He's not letting it go.
Good callback to the logical fallacy there too. Very, very good, very good. Okay, I think we're getting the hang of this.
Topical this time.
That's good. That's good. Okay. However, that is the end for round 1, ladies and gentlemen.
Just when we were getting it right.
That's right. So, pity that. Okay, that's it for show A. We'll be live next Friday about 9:30 p.m. Eastern. The second half will drop about Wednesday morning. In the meantime, the conversations continue on the web. Head over to ORLYRADIO.com. That's ORLYRADIO for all the links at the top of the page, so you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, and subscribe to the YouTube and the Twitch channels. Of course, you can watch us live and join in all the fun in the chat. Like Mama Van, thank you very much for being here and chiming in on all the things that we do. And I lost my place. Oh, yes. If you've stayed with us this long, all the way through the credits, how about you give us a hand? If you have a few dollars to spare, you can contribute to the Patreon and get early access to the show releases. And we'll even get you some special perks here and there. And, of course, give us some suggestions as to what perks that we can provide. And we'll see what we can do. Just follow the Patreon link on the webpage, and that'll take you over to patreon.com/ORLYRadio. You can also make a one-time donation via the donate button on the webpage. And if you can't fit us into your rainy day funds, how about you do us a solid and share the show and leave us a positive review on wherever you found us, specifically on iTunes, please. And we're always looking for new ideas for the show, so how about you share what's on your mind and shoot us a note over to ORLYRadiopodcast@gmail.com. Or if you're the more talkative sort, we do have a phone line, 470-222-ORLY-6759, and it's always ready to take your call or your text. Can't thank you enough for spending some time with us this evening. Until next time, this has been ORLY Radio, part of the Cowen Services Network. Music for the show was created by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com, and we are now going to pause reality and have a 10-minute intermission.
My God, we're actually going to have a bee.
We're actually going to have a bee this week. So,
boom.
For those in the live studio audience or whatever, we'll see you in 10 minutes. For those of you at home, we'll see you on Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
Toodles.